Welcome back to Philosophy of Mind. Today I'm going to talk about the altered states of consciousness known as out-of-body experiences. Out-of-body experiences are, as they say, the sense that one is perceiving the world from a location outside your body. So it seems like you're traveling to somewhere else and you're looking at yourself from outside of your body. And the features that relate to out-of-body experiences involve a low arousal, a claim of veridical perception, that is a claim that you are really seeing what the world as it is, a distorted body image, and a sense of sensory deprivation, a loss of time, yet a good memory of events. And like the veridical perception, that good memory is what you feel like is a good memory. You think that you are remembering things just as they are. You have a lot of detail about your out-of-body experience. And in relation to this out-of-body experience, we can think about what causes it and how it happens and what environments it happens. When does this altered state of consciousness occur? In what conditions? And what it means in terms of thinking of our different responses to the hard problem. So the first possible response that you can have to an out-of-body experience is to think that it's a dualist explanation. According to dualism, the out-of-body experience involves an astral projection. Your non-physical spirit travels outside of your physical body. So in the previous slide you had this picture, and that was from a website that encouraged you to develop the skill of projecting yourself, of doing astral projections. And so you can go on the web and try to find different websites that will recommend that you do astral projections, and you can project yourself all over the place if astral projection really were a thing. The problem with astral projection and the idea that you have an actual out-of-body experience in an out-of-body experience, that is to say there is a body that actually leaves your body, or a soul that actually leaves your body, is the lack of evidence. That's the first objection to the dualist explanation. And there are two different kinds. There's no evidence of the astral body. There's no evidence. They've tried to weigh it to see, that you weigh less after your soul supposedly leaves your body, and this is related to near-death experiences, that maybe the soul has left your body and then you would weigh less, but there's no clear evidence that there is a distinct difference when the body dies or when people supposedly go on an out-of-body experience. And there's no evidence of veridical perception during out-of-body experiences. So it seems like you're traveling outside of your body and you're looking down on your body, and there have been various claims that people were able to have information about things that they couldn't have had from the perspective that they were. So a person in a hospital traveled to a different part of the hospital and reported various things in this other part of the hospital, but the only person who verified this was a nurse, and she said that he described this and she saw it, and this was, that was it. There was no actual documented evidence that this actually occurred. So, this is the problem with dualism altogether, and with various different paranormal sorts of claims, that there just isn't adequate evidence that these things actually occurred. People are very convinced of that and very convincing of these different phenomena, but there's just no concrete evidence that these things actually happen. Alternatively, we can look at the materialist explanation of out-of-body experience. And as I'm describing this, try to think about which of the two materialist explanations this is. Is this the scientist explanation, where they're looking at the easy problems and assume that there is consciousness that we are going to explain by looking at the easy problems, or is this an eliminativist sort of explanation? So this explanation is that OBEs result from a disruption of the body schema by stimulating the temporal lobe. So you can see in the picture here, we've got an arrow pointing to the area of the temporal lobe that's stimulated. If you were in this has been done in patients that have undergone neurosurgery for one reason or another, and you can stimulate that area, and if you stimulate that area, people report having an out-of-body experience. And according to the materialist, what happened is that this area, the right temporal parietal junction, is correlated with your body schema, and we'll talk about body schema more when we look at the Blanke and Metzinger article. Your body schema is the model of your own body, and it contributes to your sense of myness. It contributes to the sense that this is my body, these are my feelings. And so when you stimulate that area, then you have the feeling that your body is your sense of myness is disrupted. Your sense of your model of your body is disrupted in this case. The temporal lobe is also the locus of auditory processing. That's what we talked about when we talked about the different lobes. The temporal lobe does auditory processing. But remember, your ears are also important for your vestibular and balance. You remember that from the Eyes Right, from the Sachs article on Eyes Right. Your vestibular information about balance and body alignment. So all of that sort of stuff is located in this area, and when that area is disrupted, you generate a kind of out-of-body experience. And so, think about this explanation, the materialist explanation, relative to the dualist explanation. Think about whether this explanation is more of a scientist explanation. Are they positing an actual conscious experience, or are they positing the elimination of an experience, that this experience is an illusion? I mean, obviously an out-of-body experience is an illusion on the materialist account. The question is whether the experience is also an illusion. Simply having the experience, are you actually having an experience, or is it simply information processing and there's no actual conscious experience? So think about whether the materialist explanation here is the scientist or the eliminativist response, and also think about whether there are objections to this response. So we saw objections, a lack of evidence in the dualist response. Are there objections to this materialist response? Are there things that the materialist response the materialist explanation does not include?